Today we are learning about Chapter 2, Lesson 6, which can be found on pages 113 through 118. Our objective is I can use area models to solve multiplication. Question 1. When breaking a number apart, it is important to remember its blank. Question 2. Solve 47 times 6 using the area model below. So you can draw this out and use the area model. Alright, so let's watch a video.
How do you find the product of 23 times 15 using the area model? In this lesson, you will learn how to multiply multi-digit numbers by using the area model. Let's review several things. A product is a result when two numbers are multiplied. For example, 4 times 5 equals 20. 20 is the product, or the answer to our multiplication problem. It's also important to remember that multiplication is the same thing as repeated addition. We could add 32 5 times, or we could simply say 32 times 5. Multiplication is much faster. It's also important to remember that multiplication sentences can be represented by using an array. Here we have 4 rows and 6 columns. So we have 4 rows with 6 in each row. We could count each individual picture, or we could simply say 4 times 6 equals 24. It's also important to remember the powers of 10. When we multiply something by 10, the number increases 10 times, and we add a 0. 36 times 10 equals 360. 36 times 100 would be 3,600, and we would add 2 zeros. And 36 times 1,000 becomes 36,000. A common mistake many students make is multiplying each digit as if it represents a number of ones. It's important to remember the place value of each digit. If we think about 36 times 5, we're not just multiplying 3 times 5 and 6 times 5. We're multiplying 30 times 5 and 6 times 5, because the 3 has a value of 30, not just 3. Let's multiply 23 times 15 using the area model. First of all, let's break each number into its individual values, or the digits into their individual values. For example, 23 would become 20 plus 3. The 2 is worth 20, and the 3 has a value of 3. And for 15, we have a 10 plus 5. The numbers are now written in expanded form. We'll now draw a rectangle. Let's write 20 and 3 across the top and draw a line down to separate those two parts. Notice the 20 has a larger section because 20 is larger than 3. Then we'll write 10 and 5 down the other side, and we'll draw a line across. Now it's time to multiply. We'll work on one section at a time. First of all, we'll multiply 10 times 20. Remember, 10 groups of 10 is 100, so 20 groups of 10 would be 200. Let's work on 20 times 5. If we think about our powers of 10, we know that 2 times 5 is 10, and we can add that 0 to make 100. 20 groups of 5 is 100. 3 times 10 is 30, and 3 times 5 is 15. On our rectangle, we have now written the partial products, or part of the total answer. So now we need to add them all together. 200 plus 100 plus 30 plus 15 equals 345. 23 times 15 equals 345. Now let's work on another problem. Let's multiply 225 times 12 using the area model. We'll break apart the numbers again. 225 becomes 200 plus 20 plus 5. And 12 would become 10 plus 2. The digits are now represented by their individual values. we will create our rectangle. We'll write 200 plus 20 plus 5 across the top, and then 10 plus 2 down the side. Now it's time to multiply each individual section. Now we have 200 times 10. Again, we could say 2 times 1 is 2, and we need to add the 3 zeros to create 2,000. 200 groups of 10 is 2,000. 200 times 2 would be 400. We would double 200 because we have 2 groups of 200. 10 groups of 20, again, is 200. And if we double 20, or 20 times 2, we get 40. 5 times 10 is 50, and 5 times 2 is 10. We now need to add our partial products to get our final product, or final answer. We add 2,000 plus 400 plus 200 plus 40 plus 50 plus 10 to get a product of 2,700. 225 times 12 is 2,700. In this lesson, you have learned how to multiply multi-digit numbers by using the area model.
Okay, so let's take a look at this in our math book. On page 113, it shows you that same way the video was doing. It gives you the steps into drawing the area model. So this problem is just 5 times 17. So remember, you have to look at the place values to break apart that number. So it's not 1 plus 7, it's 10 plus 7. So they wrote 10 plus 7 up here, and the 5 to the side. And then you know that you take this 5 times the 10, so in the box you can write 5 times 10 equals, and the product, and then 5 times 7, so you can write that in the box, and then the product. And then that gives you our partial products. So then you have to add those together. So I'll fill these in. Okay, so 5 times 10 is 50, 5 times 7 is 35, so now we have to add these two together to get our answer of our product of 5 times 17. So 50 plus 35 equals 85. So our product is $85. 5 times 17 is 85. Your homework helper on page 117 also walks you through this process. I think the video did a really good job of examples, so we won't go through this one, but you can check that out if you need another example. Alright, so let's look back at our questions. Answer question 1 and 2, please, and you need to work out question 2 and make sure you draw this area model when you're working it out.